Let's talk about the data processing, data analysis, and statistical testing. So now let's go for the practical tips for cross-tabulations. To make things easier, first, make a hypothesis. As you make a hypothesis as educated guess for you to have a basis on the data and possible outcome. Second is to look for what is not there, able for you to provide and fill the gap and be directed to the possible result. Number 3 is to scrutinize for the obvious. Investigating the obvious leads to curiosity, able to open details for more accurate data as well as the result. The fourth one is to keep your mind open to see transparency and origin of every data, to trace every detail of the data and provide actions if circumstances arise. The fifth one is trust the data. In every data you record, the chance is to arrive in a desirable result. And the sixth is watch the N. The N stands for the number you know it and should carefully validate in order to come up with a reliable data. So now let's go for the graphic representation of the data. The first one is the one-way frequency tables. It is a table showing the number of respondents choosing each answer to a survey. For the example, in a demographic survey, female who likes specific movie. The question is, did you like the movie? So the illustration in here represents the result. In the vertical line or in the y-axis shows the number of female respondents, and the variable or the choices presents by its color, the violet for no, purple for yes, and pale yellow for the grand total. As you can see, 4 out of 7 said they didn't like the movie, and the 3 out of 7 said yes, they liked the movie, which the total of the 7 respondents. So the one-way frequency table is good for a specific and direct understandable table. The line chart. Line chart is good for the linear relationship, meaning it is a straight line rising or falling. Rising means the direct relationship and falling means the inverse relationship. So for example, the illustration presents the sales of the company by the months and years. The vertical line or the y-axis shows the sales, while the horizontal line or the x-axis are the months from January to December. And the two variables compared are the years, which is the blue for 2001 and red for 2002. The line chart helps to show the difference of two compared variables and helps the company and its institutions to track the progress and the profitability to ensure the sustainability and improve competition. The pie chart. It is good for special relationships among data points, and it should be total up to 100%. So for example, the illustration is all about what type of music you like. The choices are the country music, rock music, oldies, jazz or blues music, and gospel. These choices are indicated in the pie chart together with its corresponding total or percent, which obviously shows by part that tells who got the highest as well as the lowest. The bar chart. It is used to display and compare the percentage for different discrete categories of data. The bar chart constructed lengths of the difference bars are proportional to the size of the category they present. For example, the illustration presents the percentage of each type of music chosen by the respondents. The vertical line or the y-axis presents the percent by up to 100%, and the horizontal or the x-axis shows the type of music, as by the bar chart drive to show the side-by-side relationship and also its difference to each other. Now let's go for the type of bar chart. So in here, the bar chart has a type, and this is the multiple row bar chart, which makes it easy to compare sets of data between different groups at a glance. For example, the illustration shows multiple variables, the percentage, age, and the type of music. That's why it is so called the multiple bar chart. to showcase the relationship and differences of one another. In the vertical line or the y-axis, show the percentage up to 100%. The horizontal line or the x-axis for the age group or the 35 or under and over 35. And the total is in the vertical line. Present the type of the music. These three variables being compared in contrast is ordered to see the greatest and the least result. And now let's go for the measure of tendency under the descriptive statistics, the mean, median, and mode. The mean is the sum of the values for all the observations of a variable divided by the number of observations. The median is referred to the value below which 50% of the observations fall, and the mode is the value that occurs most frequently. So now let's go for the illustration, which shows the example of the mean, median, and mode. For example, the mean, median, and mode for beer consumption. A total of 10 beer drinkers were interviewed in a small intercept study. They were asked how many cans, bottles, or glasses of beer they drink in an average day. So this is the example of the mean, median, and mode for beer consumption data. So in the right is the total number of the respondents from 1 to 10, and in the left is the number of cans, bottles, or glasses per day. Now let's find the mean, median, and mode. So for the mean, add all the number of cans per day, divide by the total numbers of the respondents, which is the 10, and that's it. You will come up with the mean, which is number 3. So now let's go for the median. First, arrange all the numbers in order, and then when you arrange it, look for the middle or the 50% value, and that's it. That's your median. And for the mode, look for the value that occurs most frequently. So 2 is the mode. So what is measure of dispersion? Measure of dispersion describes as the extent to which a distribution is stretched or squeezed. These are the example of the measures of dispersion: the variance, the range, and the standard deviation. The variance in a probability theory and statistics. Variance is the expectation of the square deviation of a random variable from its mean. Informally, it measures how far a set of numbers are spread from than the average value. The range is a set of data which stands as the difference between the largest and the smallest values. The range of a set of data is the result of the subtracting the smallest value from the largest value. And the standard deviation is a measure of the amount of variation or dispersion of a set of a value. A low standard deviation indicates that the values tend to be close to the mean of the set, while a high standard deviation indicates that the values are spread out over the wider range. Descriptive statistics are the most efficient means of summarizing the characteristics of the large sets of data. For example, in a statistical analysis, the analysis calculates one number or a few numbers that reveal the results about the characteristics of a large set of data. So the table presents the years in the business, where it summarizes all the large data in order to see the compilation easily and to easily track the needed data. Like the arrow symbolizes the significant discrepancy in the mean and the median. In statistical significance, there are issues of whether certain measurements are different from one another is the central to many questions in the marketing managers. These questions are: the post-test measures of top-of-mind awareness is slightly higher than the level pre-test. So the question is, did the top-of-mind awareness really increase? Is there any other explanation for the increase? The second one is the overall customer satisfaction score increased from 92% to 93.5% in 1 to 3 months period. And the question are, did it really increase? And the third is, in an awareness test, 28.3% of those surveyed have heard of the product on an unaided basis. The question is this a good result? So the reason why the questions arise is that the marketing managers assess every results through its ifs to validate results in any vary, and in order to arrive to more applicable and useful results. So the example of statistical significance are the mathematical differences, statistical significance, and managerial importance difference. So mathematical difference, by definition, if the numbers are not exactly the same, they are different. That doesn't mean they are important or statistically different. So it is just happened for a reason that the mathematical difference or the difference of numbers no result places in a specific result or purpose relatively to one another. So the second one is the statistical significance. If the difference is large enough to be unlikely to have occurred because of the chance of a sampling error, then it is considered as a statistically different or significant. So the third one is the managerial importance differences. So an argument can be made that a difference, even a small one, may have a managerial implications. This means that any kind of dilemma or arguments arise in the management is considered as a management required action in order to solve or improve the situation to avoid the conflict and the future disturbances. So now let's go for the hypothesis testing. A hypothesis is an assumption or theory that a researcher or manager makes about some characteristics of the population under the study. So hypothesis deals as an educated guess on a particular study. It also helps to construct assumptions about the study. Here are the steps for the hypothesis testing. Step 1 is state the hypothesis. For example, of a hypothesis is the if and then statement. So for example, if the management innovates its production of goods into a unique and a cheaper options, then the sales will increase and attract more consumers. Step 2 is choose the test statistic. There are the statistics or the formula used in the statistical testing, and it also includes the accept and rejection rule. Step 3 is develop the decision rule. Here is where it is an procedure that the researcher or manager uses to decide whether to accept or reject the null hypothesis. Step 4 is calculate the value of the test statistic to measure the degree of agreement between a sample data and the null hypothesis. Step 5 is state the conclusion. Conclusion stands as a result, a judgment, or a decision you attain in the overall procedure of your hypothesis testing. So all in all, this is the point of the survey, a questionnaire and a testing to determine if the marketing idea or product or services has an actionable result. And that's all. Thank you.